Now, is Jinx actually dead?
He moves right there! Coincidence? I think not!
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Netflix just released Arcane Season 2, and it's probably going to go down as one of the greatest animated series of all time for a number of reasons. The overwhelming quality of the animation was so much better than anything else on TV, and even though they rushed through Season 2, it was a great storyline that at least tried to complete all the character arcs in a satisfying way, also setting up at least 3 different sequel and spin-off League of Legends universe TV shows. And for those of you that are bummed about what happened to Jinx, she is still alive. They gave us enough proof during the ending of the finale. I'll explain how she survived, so Jinx will return in some of these sequels and spin-offs. But the bad news you've probably seen everyone talking about the past week since it came out is that Netflix canceled the show. Netflix canceled Arcane before Season 2 ever came out. It sounds crazy because it seems like the show was very successful for Netflix. Why would they cancel such a successful show? I'll explain what's going on behind the scenes, but the Arcane showrunner, Chris Link from Riot, the company that makes League of Legends, they're also the ones that did all the work on the show too, just did an interview where he explains what's happening next, even though Arcane itself is totally cooked, like it's done, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the episodes. Here's his interview where he explains the future of what they're calling the League of Legends cinematic universe.
So yes, right now we're developing the follow-up projects. We're exploring a bunch of directions. I mean, when you work on something for 9 years, like it's pretty normal and pretty expected that you're gonna have ideas for other stories. You know, there's many characters. Every League player, if you play the game for like 14 years, 15 years, you're gonna have your phases where you fall in love with a certain champion, right? And for us, it's like we can just look back and go like, oh, which one would be cool to get a story? So we're really going wide. We're looking at every region, and we really, now have the ability to really focus on building like a slate to tell many more stories, continue some of them. We're far from done. I mean, this is right now a really exciting time for everyone, for us, because we can finally like really focus, on like, okay, what's next?
As he says it there, Riot, who owns League of Legends, the game, has already been developing at least 3 spin-offs and sequel stories, most of which they set up during Arcane Season 2. Some of you might have detected this during the episodes where there were a few storylines that seemed like they were there to just set up sequels and spin-offs. We'll talk about those in a second, but Jinx is one of those characters. Like, her story is not over. They gave her an out at the end of the finale. I'll explain how that happened. But as the showrunner says, there are billions of different champions inside the League of Legends game. They're moving on to groups of other champions in different regions now, but it's going to take them a number of years to actually make those other new shows. It took them almost 6 years to make Arcane Season 1, if you weren't aware. The showrunner in that clip that I used said that the idea for Arcane came to him doing a show based on League of Legends champions characters started in 2015, but they didn't announce the show publicly until 2019 after it had been in production for a little while and then released episodes in 2021. The reason why they were able to get Season 2 out in 3 years if it took so long to make Season 1 is because they were already working on Season 2 when Season 1 episodes were being released. So the fact that he's talking about these 3 spin-offs right now means that they've already probably started working on them. There'll be at least 3 years before we see at least one of them. 2027 before that next sequel show comes out, so put a pin in that date. I know the big question here is why would Netflix make them rush through their storyline in 2 seasons of 18 episodes when there were so many characters in the show? It feels like they skipped over a ton of stuff during Season 2 in particular just because they knew they had to end the show with the finale. They could have done at least 4 seasons, probably more than that, and even then it would have felt a little bit rushed. But after news of the cancellation started to come out, it was revealed that Arcane cost Netflix and Riot $250 million to make those 18 episodes of 2 seasons. That's right, $250 million, making it the most expensive animated show of all time. Now it makes a little more sense why it looks so good, because they spent so much money making it. For example, Deadpool and Wolverine, Spider-Man No Way Home, massive Marvel movies, both cost more like $200 million, so Arcane cost them more to make than these giant big Marvel movies. Netflix only earns money on these shows and movies through their subscriptions, they don't have an extra revenue stream the studios get when they release big movies in theaters, then again on DVD, then license it to other streamers and cable networks. So when a studio releases a movie, even if it's a bit of a box office bomb, they have a way to make their money back on like a $200 million movie. But Netflix, the other streamers, don't have a way to do that on streaming shows. Here's the other kicker too, this is the other side of this. Riot, the company that makes the League of Legends game, mostly paid for Arcane themselves out of pocket, and Netflix really only paid to license the show, along with a couple other streamers around the world that don't have Netflix in their countries. Between all the money that Riot earned on those licensing fees and the DVDs they're selling for Season 1 and Season 2, they are selling DVDs for both seasons if you want to buy them. Riot probably made less than $30 million of that back, maybe less than $50 million, so they burned through at least a solid $200 million of their own money that they're never going to get back on that. And this is the main reason why Riot said that they wanted to cancel Arcane so quickly and move to other regions inside the League of Legends animated universe. The larger reason Riot and Netflix are doing all this, now Riot primarily because of the people that are paying for the show for the most part, the reason why they don't care that the animated shows like Arcane are loss leaders, they lose a ton of money on them, is because they're using the shows to drive more interest in the League of Legends video game, which they also own, which is where all their real money is actually earned. They earn 10 times more money on the video games than studios do on their movies and TV shows. So Riot makes way more money on the League of Legends game than they ever could on even like $1 billion hit movie or TV show, if they ever did release any movies in theaters. What they're really trying to do now is continue to drive interest and get people into their games through more animated characters and champions from other regions. Like the showrunner said, there are billions of champions from different regions, we're just focusing on different groups now. So even though it does suck that they're canceling Arcane, they're still going to be doing animated League of Legends shows in this same connected universe, Marvel style, for a very long time. So this is not the end, and a number of the Arcane characters, like the mains, will return in those spin-offs.
To tell many more stories, continue some of them.
Jinx is probably one of the best examples of that, because they seemingly ended her story on a cliffhanger, making it seem like she sacrificed herself to save Vi, and tried one last time to reach Vander, who had been turned into the werewolf Warwick from the game. They gave us all the clues we need to let us know that she survived the fall and the bomb, without literally coming out and beating us over the face with it. Zoom and enhance here, notice when she falls and her bomb goes off. This is what her bomb looks like, this is the color. Notice when it's exploding, there's a trace line of purple arcing towards the side of the frame. So remember that. Earlier in the episodes, when they showed Jinx moving very fast across the screen, they would animate her eyes glowing with the trail of purple across the screen. During the very end of the episode, Vi is sulking, drowning in her cups, sad about Jinx, and Caitlyn is reading her family's archives about the Hexgate, the place where they just were where Jinx disappeared, and they did not find a body. So keep that in mind too, you know the rules, no body means no death. But when Caitlyn is reading the schematics of the Hexgate, notice how the camera shifts and zooms in on the exhaust ports to the side. Caitlyn's little wry smile here is her realizing that they didn't find a body because ... Jinx escaped through one of those exhaust ports. So notice the arcing color of Jinx's eyes going towards one of the exhaust ports when the bomb goes off. And this airship is meant to be Jinx flying away from Piltover. That's why the credits, when they roll, show Jinx's font when it says "The End." As in, it's meant to be a bit more of a question mark. Is this really the end? Ella Purnell, who plays the Jinx character, also released this teaser just recently for her being alive too. It was her way of winking at the camera saying that Jinx is still around without full-on spoiling that she survived.
Now, is Jinx actually dead?
He moves! Right there! Coincidence? I think not!
Here's where we get to all the sequels and spin-offs that Arcane showrunner confirmed. There are at least 3 that he mentioned. There could be more that they're working on, but only 3 that he talked about. There's a show set in Noxus for Mel. At the end of the finale, if it wasn't clear, Mel is on the Noxian ships sailing back there with her mother's troops, which are now her troops. Notice that all the soldiers swore fealty to her immediately after she killed her mother, so all of her family's holdings, the soldiers, belong to her now. She was meant to come from a powerful family inside Noxus. You could say her entire storyline in Season 2 was mostly dedicated to setting up that Black Rose spin-off show, where the Black Rose are the main villains, probably LeBlanc actually being the main antagonist. She helped form the Black Rose organization in the first place, and she was the primary person that kept coming after Mel and her mother throughout the episodes. But if you haven't played the games, the Black Rose is a secret society led by key members of the aristocracy from Noxus that try to use a lot of statecraft and subterfuge and magic, for example, to guide history from the shadows. They're a little bit like the Bene Gesserit order inside the Dune universe. The other part of that too is that Riot recently announced that Mel is going to be a new playable champion inside League of Legends, whereas she was not a character from the games before. The second show they're working on now is set in Ionia. It's a sea-based area of provinces inside an archipelago of islands known as the First Lands. They didn't really get too deeply into this area during the Arcane series, but some of the champions from that area include Aurelia, Master Yi, Shen, Zed. The third new show is set in Demacia, which is the main hub of the entire region in League of Legends. It's a really big area with a ton of higher nobles. Some of the big champions from that area are Fiora, Garen, Kayle, Lux. Now, they didn't say which of the shows would release first. They're probably just waiting to see how development goes on all three of them, and they'll just go with whichever story winds up being the strongest. They didn't say which show Jinx is going to come back on, or if Vi, Caitlyn, some of the other characters will come back on that too. My guess is they're mostly focused on like Jinx and a couple of the other characters, and Jinx might show up in cameos or crossovers in all of the different sequel shows. But like I said, their primary goal is just to introduce new regions of the game with a bunch of new champions. So everybody let me know in the comments, which of the shows do you want them to do first, and which other characters do you want to see come back from the Arcane series? I didn't do a ton of videos for Season 2 episodes, so if you do have questions about the characters or what was going on, write them below in the comments and I'll try to answer them. There's a bunch of big stuff coming up before the end of this year, and next year we have Dune Prophecy episodes, Skeleton Crew episodes I'm doing videos for, What If Season 3 episodes at the end of the year, so be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss any of that stuff. Speaking of other video game universes getting their own TV shows and movies, Henry Cavill working on that Warhammer TV series and movies, but apparently he's also going to be joining the Star Wars universe. Click here to learn about that. And click here for that new Loki vs. Hercules alternate ending video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.